The mountains stretched endlessly into the clouds, white and cold like death itself. Rango led the way, his boots crunching into the snow as the wind howled like something alive. Red stomped behind, feathers fluffed in frustration. Flik wrapped a leaf around himself, already trembling. Surly clung to his massive tail, darting eyes scanning every shadow. They weren't just climbing. They were chasing legend and ancient crystal buried in ice. But the higher they climbed, the colder it got. And behind every gust of wind, something felt off, like they were being watched. Every step forward echoed like footsteps in a tomb. The mountains weren't silent, they were whispering. That night, the sky went dark and the wind turned cruel. They huddled around a weak fire, shivering, exhausted. Then a sound ripped through the silence. A howl, not like a wolf, deeper, angrier, older. It didn't just echo, it shattered the stillness. Red leapt up, feathers on edge. Rango's hand went straight to his pistol. Surly froze in place, and Flik crawled behind a rock, his heart pounding. The fire flickered as if afraid. Too, the mountains around them seemed to hold their breath. That sound, it wasn't a warning, it was a message. Something had heard them. Something had found them. Morning came with thick fog and bitter air. As they moved ahead, Red stopped cold. "Guys," he whispered. In the snow, massive footprints, each one the size of a barrel, with long claws digging deep to deep. Rango bent to inspect them, brushing away fresh flakes. "Whatever this is, it's big," he said, quietly. Flik covered his mouth. Surly climbed onto a ledge, tail twitching fast. The prince led off into the trees, dragging heavy, the kind of walk that didn't care. Who heard it? The team stared in silence. These weren't signs of an animal looking for food. These were signs of a predator, guarding its domain. That evening, the wind went still. To still, Rango noticed at first something blinking, high on a distant ridge, to glowing yellow eyes. They didn't move, just watched. Red grabbed his slingshot, but hesitated. "It sees us," he whispered. The fire crackled behind them, but the world was silent. Flik's legs buckled slightly. Surly backed away, slowly. Then, in a blink, the eyes vanished. Nothing remained but the heavy breath of cold air. Rango took a step back. "We're not alone," he muttered. The mountains weren't empty. Something hunted from above. And now, it knew exactly where they were. Without warning, the trees to their right exploded, snow and bark flying everywhere. The Yeti lunged out with a monstrous roar, white fur streaked with old blood, claws the size of blades. Red barely had time to react. He was thrown into a snowbank. Rango drew and fired, the shot echoing uselessly into the wild. Flik screamed and ran behind the rocks. Surly leapt into the nearest pine, tail shaking with terror. The beast stood tall, fur flaring in the wind, its growl shaking the earth. It wasn't hunting, it was angry, vengeful. The group scattered into chaos, but one thing was clear: they were nothing to it. Just intruders on cursed ground. They barely made it inside. A jagged ice cave, blue and glittering like glass, hid them from the storm and the monster. Rango lit a lantern. Its glow revealed ancient carvings on the walls, stick figures, shapes. A towering beast with arms wide. Surrounding it were animals, bowing, then flames, claws, screams. "This thing has been worshipped or feared," Rango whispered. Red patched his wounds. Flik didn't say a word. Surly sat curled up, staring at the icy walls. The wind outside howled again. But in here, it was worse, silent, echoing, haunted. They were in the Yeti's home now. and it had never forgotten betrayal. Snowdrifts revealed rooftops and old village buried in ice. They broke through one wooden door and froze inside. Frozen bodies, explorers, animals like them, still clutching gear, eyes wide in terror, mouths open and silent screams. The room was a tomb. Rango stepped forward and knelt by one figure, his notebook still open. Drawings of the same beast, same claws, same eyes. Red stood by the window, shivering, but not from cold. They tried, and they failed, he muttered. Flik trembled beside a bed. Surly turned away, holding back a scream. Whatever haunted these peaks had wiped this village clean, and they were walking the same path. They found it in the back of a frozen hut, an old leather journal. Rango flipped through the frozen pages. The tale was simple and horrible. Long ago, the Yeti protected this mountain. It warned travelers, saved lives, but the villagers turned on him, called him a monster, chained him beneath the ice, cursed by betrayal and hatred. The beast became what they feared. They made him a monster, Flik whispered. The drawings changed, showing a burning village, shadows fleeing. Red shut the book. So now he haunts everyone who steps here. The wind screamed louder. Surly looked to the cave entrance, and were necks. The blizzard struck fast, like a ghost. Wind howled. Snow blinded them. Every direction looked the same, white, violent, empty. They tried to move, but it was like running through water. Then, in the distance, a figure, massive, moving. Slowly, Flik screamed. It's circling us, Red yelled. Rango pulled them together, shielding the lantern's flame. Surly dropped to the snow, panicking. The shadow moved again, closer this time. No sound, just wind, just dread. Their breaths turned to mist. The storm was no longer nature's wrath. It was the Yeti's cover, and they were trapped, cold, and hunted like prey. They reached the gorge, one last chance. Rango faced it alone, boots sinking into snow. The Yeti stood across the ice, towering, eyes glowing with rage and sadness. You don't have to do this, Rango whispered. But the beast charged. The team waited. Then Rango fired into the cliff. The ice cracked, a thunderous rumble. The ground split open, and the Yeti roared, falling into the chasm below. For one moment, just before it vanished, its eyes locked with Flik's. Not anger, not hatred, but grief. Then a silence. The mountain went still, but the story would never leave them.